Hello and welcome to my channel and to my second video, and this one's about my labour. I am going to warn you that I am not holding back in this video and it might be a bit, you know. Anyway, so let's get right into it with the first question. How long was your labour? So my labour, my finger just clicked. My labour, depending on how you do it, so I don't actually know if you class your labour from when your contractions start or from when your waters break. Lily was born on at about 4 on, well, 9 minutes past 4 on the 23rd of December in the afternoon. My contractions started on the 20th of December at 11:30 at night. So they were going on for about 3 days. Yeah, so about 3 days. And so that was, if you count it from when your contractions start, 3 days. But when they broke my waters, they had to break my waters on the morning of the 23rd at 7 o'clock. So that would be about 9 hours, wouldn't it? Something like that. Did you deliver early, late, or on time? So I was due on the 11th of December. And Lily decided to come on the 23rd of December, so she was late. But I was so convinced that she was going to be early, and everyone kept saying, oh, she's going to be early, you're going to have her in November. So I was kind of thinking, yeah, she's going to come in November, but then didn't. And then it got to the due date and there was still no signs, and I just didn't want to have her on my birthday the 20th or on Christmas Day, and probably not Christmas Eve. So she did come on the 23rd, which is good. Did you use drugs? So I did use drugs. Because I was having contractions for quite a long time, I didn't have any sleep from the 19th, night of the 19th till after I gave birth. In that time I probably had about 5 hours sleep in total, because I was obviously having contractions more at night time than I was during the day, so I wasn't really able to sleep. So they gave me some Oromorph to help with the contraction, to help obviously with the pain of the contractions, so I could get some sleep, but that didn't help. So I had 2 lots of morphine as well. And then while I was actually in the delivery room, I had gas and air, and they're the only drugs that I had. Now, did your partner watch? So Richard all along said that he wasn't going to watch. He was like, no, I'm going to stay at the head end. I don't want to see any of that. But there come to a time where the midwife actually said to Richard, come and have a look. And I don't know whether he really wanted to or he just felt like he couldn't say no. So he went and had a look, and then that was it. He was down there for the rest of the time. But I think what she'd done is she wanted him to kind of encourage me. So were you surprised at how you were during labour? Yes, I was actually. One of the things that really surprised me was I'm quite a reserved person. I don't really get my body out a lot. But I was naked the whole time, butt naked. Absolutely. And that really shocked me, because I was like, I'm not that type of person, but people were walking in and I was just there. I think during that time, everything just goes out the window. All your dignity and everything goes out the window, and all you can concentrate, all you're worried about is getting this baby out. Has it put you off doing it again? Not really, no. I mean, it was a difficult time, I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't bad that I wouldn't do it again. I think what puts me off doing it again is the 9 months of being pregnant, because I didn't have a very good pregnancy. I will, if you want to find out about my pregnancy, I'll link the video I done before this one below. But yeah, the labour hasn't put me off doing it again. I'm not planning on any more children. Just gonna put that one out there. But no, it hasn't put me off doing it again. I think the labour was actually all right. How much does it really hurt? So, well, it does hurt. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does hurt, but it's not that bad. I think with me, there was 2 parts what really hurt. So my contractions dipped off after my waters broke, they dipped off. So they had to put a drip in to get my contractions going again. And apparently when you have this drip, it makes your contractions very intense and very close together. And they really were quite bad. It literally felt like my ass was gonna explode. It just was like, the pressure of I mean, it's not a pain, it's more like a really big pressure. When they say it's like having a poo, it really is. It's like you're having to push out a really big poo, but it's just like the world's biggest. Anyway, yeah, it's just, that was really uncomfortable. It wasn't really a pain, it was more like a very, very uncomfortable. And after a while, they did start to hurt. And then the other thing that hurt was when you're pushing the baby's head out. And they were the things that hurt, but it does hurt, but you know, it's gonna. Would you have done anything different? So there's only one thing that I would have done different, and it's nothing to do with the actual labour itself. I think that I didn't panic, I didn't stress out too much about it, I just went with the flow. I wouldn't do anything different, to be honest with you. I think I handled it quite well. Pat me on the back, toot me own horn. The only thing that I would do different is I would have filmed it. Obviously not for YouTube. I would not put that on YouTube. Definitely not. But the reason that I'm like talking about my labour and questions is because I really can't remember a lot of it. Like, I can remember parts, but if you told me when it happened, I wouldn't be able to say, like, I can't remember an actual timeline. Now, I did do some recording, which I will link below my labour vlog, but I was in 3 rooms in the whole time that I was in there. I was in the water lily suite, so the room with the pool, and then I went to another room which didn't have a pool but was on the water lily suite, which just had this massive nice bed and a little sofa bed. And then we went into the room where we actually gave birth to Lily, where I actually gave birth to Lily. There was no we. Richard was there, but he didn't do it. So yeah, and the only room that I actually recorded anything in was the first room with the pool. And I really wish that I had just recorded it. I know of just my personal, you know, it's something that I could look back on, because I love looking back. The reason that I vlog is because I love looking back on stuff. I'm a photo person. I love looking back on my Instagram photos, and it was such a crazy one-off experience. Like, I'm never gonna go through a first labour again. Even if I had another baby, it wouldn't ever be like that. So I wish I had recorded it more, at least more of me in the room actually giving birth, what I was like, because I can only go off what I can remember and what Richard tells me. Did you have a tear? I did have a tear. I had 2. I had one at the top and one at the bottom. Now, the bottom one was just an internal tear and the top was just a little tear. And they weren't that bad, because sometimes they can be really bad. The one at the top wasn't that bad at all, so they left that. But the one at the bottom they stitched up, and oh my God. I'm not being funny. That was just... I found that worse than the labour. No word of a lie. Because, not being funny, you've just pushed a little person out of there, and now they're going to stitch you up. First of all, they inject you, so you go on numb. Don't know why they don't do that when you're actually giving birth, but whatever. And then they stitch you up, and then you've just got this nurse going, no word of a lie. They literally go right up like this. It's crazy, and it really is uncomfortable. And I kind of just felt like she was like rubbing sandpaper on it. It was just awful. It really was awful. And in regards to like the tear at the top, because they left it, it was kind of like an open wound, and going to the toilet afterwards was, like, for a wee, was awful, because it just stung. And I remember, I don't know, you know, when you're in pain, you kind of like, and I remember sitting on the toilet just like lifting myself up, trying to move myself, like, I don't want to like moving myself so it didn't hurt. And that was like afterwards, like for 3 weeks afterwards, it was just painful every time I went to the toilet. And FYI, just to let you know, that the first poo after giving birth is awful. I was so scared, but once you do it, it's fine. But you do feel like you're going to turn yourself inside out, but it's fine. Once you've done it, it's fine. Did you have any complications? So in regards to the actual labour itself, I wouldn't say I had any major complications. The only complications, obviously I opted for a water birth, but because every time I was having contractions, Lily's heart rate was dropping off. so I couldn't have my water birth. And then the other complication would definitely be the, obviously my contractions dropped. It's not really a complication, it's just my contractions dropped off, so I had to be put on the drip. However, I did have some complications afterwards. So after I'd given birth to Lily, we'd left the delivery suite and we went to the private room that we got. And we were starving because I hadn't ate for like 3 days, neither had Richard. So we were kind of like running on low. So Richard went to get a McDonald's for us. And so when he got back, I went to the toilet. And basically I went into the toilet, and as I went to sit down, 2 massive blood clots, and I'm talking probably about this big, 2 of them come out. So I panicked. I'm just gonna get Lily. Hey, hello. You're just woken up, so you might be a bit funny, mightn't you? Oh, pardon. So yeah, I had these 2 massive blood clots. So I rung the bell, and the like 3 or 4 nurses just come into the toilet. Richard was kind of like very worried at this point because he just saw like I've gone to the toilet and then there's 3 nurses coming and running in after me. Then they called the doctor, and because these were quite sizable blood clots, called the doctor. You right, sweetheart? And they basically then had to examine me again. So on top of, I was literally shaking because I was just in so much pain. I was just shaking. And they had to put a catheter in, so that was awful. So you've just given birth, you've just been stitched up, and now they're putting a catheter in. Yeah, yeah. You cheeky. To be taken back over to the delivery suite where they had to put me on another one of the drips to kind of like, to get the contractions going, to obviously shrink down my womb. So yeah, that was a little complication afterwards. And then when I come home, I think I just had 1 more blood clot the next day, and then a few days later I had some more, but they weren't concerned because I wasn't bleeding that much anyway, so it was just probably just a build up and then a big clot. So the best and the worst part. So the best part obviously was when she was born and when they handed her to me, but that's a bit of an obvious answer, so I'm not going to use that. The best and the worst part are actually really close together. So the worst part was pushing the head out. So, but only supposed to push when you're having contractions, even though towards the end, I'm sure the midwife said, if you feel like pushing, just push. But, so you've got to push the head out. Now the problem is that it's a rather large thing, and it's coming out of a rather small hole. So what was happening is you were pushing, and you felt like it was coming out, and then you'd have to stop, so it'd come back in. And then you'd have to push out, and it'd come back in. And it felt like I was doing this about 20 times. And it was just frustrating because you were putting everything into pushing the head out, and then it come back in again. It was just so frustrating, and it hurts. So when you're pushing the head out, you can feel like the sting of the stretch, and it's just, ooh. But you can just feel like, and it's just like pushing it out. It's just, it hurts. That is the worst part when you're pushing the head out. And I swear 20 contractions to get the head out, because you'd push it out and then Richard's like, come on, keep going, keep going. And then Richard's going, keep going, it's coming. And then you're really pushing, you're trying to push, and then it'll just go back in. But the best part was once the head was out, because then you know that you've gone through the hardest part and you've just got 1 more push, and then she's here, and then she's born. So the worst part was the pushing of the head out, because it was just that, it was frustrating because you thought you were getting somewhere and then it just come back in. Do you really forget about it? Now this is kind of tricky, because I think you do forget about it. Like, as soon as they do say, like, as soon as you get the baby, you do forget about it, and you really do. And the pain is temporary. Remember that pain is temporary. So once it's over, it's over. So in that respect, you do forget about it. But right now, I can imagine the pain. So you forget about it in the sense that you don't feel the pain anymore. But you don't forget about it, because right now I can imagine how it felt to push her out, how the contractions felt. I can remember all that. But yeah, so you do forget about it. Like the pain, that it's just not, it's not like the pain lingers. Do you know what I mean? It's easily forgotten about in that respect, but I can still imagine it. So technically, no, you don't forget about it, but it's not like, it's not a bad not forgetting about it. You can still remember, but you can't feel it. So I hope you enjoyed, and if you did like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss out on any more of my videos, please subscribe, and then I'll be popping up on your newsfeed. Anyway, thanks again, and I will see you soon.